A senior official from Japan's foreign ministry is in China to calm a diplomatic row between the two countries that has been brewing for weeks. It was sparked by the Japanese Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi, when she said a Chinese attack on Taiwan could threaten Japanese survival and potentially trigger a military response from Tokyo. China has since issued a travel warning for Japan and advised citizens to avoid visits to the country entirely. Several airlines are providing refunds and free change of dates. Chinese ships have also been seen sailing around the Senkaku Islands, which are administered by Japan. China's foreign ministry has warned Japan that they must stop playing with fire on the Taiwan question.
The wrongful remarks made by Japan regarding Taiwan have deeply hurt the Chinese people, deteriorating the atmosphere for exchanges between China and Japan. Japan should adhere to the 4 political documents between China and Japan and immediately look to correct their erroneous statements and actions.
Now, let's get more from our East Asia correspondent, Rick Glauert, who's standing by in Taipei. Rick, how are Taiwanese officials reacting to this row?
Well, yes, Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te was actually asked about it today. He said that China should restrain itself, that it should stop being a troublemaker and protect regional peace and stability. Taiwan, of course, no stranger to this kind of intimidation, harassment from China. At the same time that China was sending those Coast Guard boats around the Senkaku Islands, China was also sending boats and planes around Taiwan. I think some 30 planes and some 7 or 8 boats within a 24-hour period. Other people and officials in Taiwan are also saying that Takaichi's comments they really boost a point that Taiwan has been making over the last couple of years, that any move by China unilaterally on Taiwan would, of course, involve other people in the region and would upset the regional stability and peace.
Now, Chinese officials are demanding that Japan retracts these remarks about Taiwan. How likely is that?
I don't see that as very likely. Takaichi has stood by her remarks. She said she'd be more careful in the future, but she's also been, quite adamant that this doesn't reflect a change in Japanese policy, and we believe that is the message that she's sending with her diplomat who's gone to Beijing to try and make nice today. Takaichi is also a known China hawk. That was known when she was made the leader of LDP and then the leader of Japan. And she's been outspoken about the threat that China poses and about how Japan needs to bolster its own defences, boost its defence spending. She's also a long-time ally, a long-time friend of Taiwan, and she even visited Taiwan earlier this year, of course, just in her capacity as a lawmaker, and she even met with President Lai Ching-te, and she said that both Japan and Taiwan face similar challenges.
Now, what do ordinary people in Taiwan make of China's rhetoric and intimidation?
Well, yeah, of course, Taiwan has seen this all before. China often picks different tools out of its toolbox to intimidate, to show its anger. That often starts with the rhetoric, often quite violent, as we've seen over the last week or so, not just from government spokespeople, but also from diplomats. They can use their personal Twitters or their personal social medias to give their opinions. Also, of course, state media. And what China really tries to do there is flood the zone with its own narrative. And then that's often coupled with other things like economic coercion. So we've seen that threat of stopping tourists from going to China, going to Japan from China. China put restrictions on tourists coming to Taiwan some 6 years ago in 2019, after there were some statements from the government then that they wouldn't accept a system like Hong Kong in Taiwan, sorry. And then, of course, there's also the military might conducting exercises around the area, or, as we saw in the Senkaku Islands, sending Coast Guard boats on patrols into areas that are administered by Japan.
DW's Rick Glauert there reporting from Taipei. Thank you, Rick.